Today I'm going to talk about how to divide a polynomial by a monomial. Polynomial means many and monomial means one term. So when you're dividing a polynomial by a monomial, you divide each term in the polynomial with the monomial. When dividing, you have to remember to subtract the exponents that have the same base. So the first example we're going to look at is 12x squared minus 26x plus 14 divided by 2x squared. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide each term by 2x squared. So I'm going to have 12x squared divided by 2x squared minus 26x divided by 2x squared plus 14 divided by 2x squared. In order to do this, you're going to divide your numbers. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and you subtract your exponents. So 2 minus 2 is going to be 0. You do not write x to the 0 power, you just leave it as 6. Minus 26 divided by 2 is going to be 13. When you subtract 1 minus 2, you get an x to the negative 1 power. Plus, I'm going to divide 14 by 2, which is going to give me 7. And then I have my x squared. I don't have any x's on the top, but I have an x squared on the bottom. So you just have to leave the x squared on the bottom. It does not go to the top. The last thing you have to take into account is you can never have a negative exponent. In order to get rid of the negative exponent, it needs to go to the bottom of the fraction. So I'm going to have 6 minus 13 divided by x plus 7 over x squared. And that's going to be my answer. The next example, I have 24x to the 4th plus 12x squared minus 3x divided by 6x. So again, I'm going to take each part and I'm going to divide it by my monomial, which is 6x. So I'm going to have 24 divided x to the 4th divided by 6x plus 12x squared divided by 6x minus 3x divided by 6x. So when you divide your coefficients, which are your numbers in front of your variables. So 24 divided by 6 is 4, and you subtract your exponents. 4 minus 1 is going to be 3, so I'm going to have 4x cubed plus 12 divided by 6 is 2. When I subtract my exponents, I'm going to get x, because 2 minus 1 is 1, minus 3 divided by 6 is going to be 1/2. And then when I subtract my exponents, I am going to get 0. So you do not write an x. You just leave it as 1/2 because you do not write x to the 0 power. The next example I have is going to be 26 x to the 6th, y to the 3rd, minus 49 x to the 4th, y to the 5th, plus 14x squared y divided by 7x squared y. Again, all you're going to do is you're going to divide each term by that 7x squared y squared. So I'm going to have 22 x to the 6th, y to the 3rd, divided by 7x squared y squared, minus 49 x to the 4th, y to the 5th, divided by 7x squared y squared plus 14 x squared y divided by 7x squared y squared. So when I do this, I'm going to divide my numbers. So 22 divided by 7 is just going to be 22 over 7. I subtract my exponents. 6 minus 2 is going to be 4, so I'm going to have x to the 4th. 3 minus 2 is 1, so I'm going to have just y, minus 49 divided by 7 is going to be 7. 4 minus 2 is going to be 2, so I'm going to have x squared. And then I'm just going to subtract 5 minus 2, which is going to give me 3, plus 14 divided by 7 is 2. When I subtract 2 minus 2, I get 0. Those cancel out. You do not have an x. Do not write an x in your answer. And then finally, I have y to the first minus y to the second, which is going to be y to the negative 1. This is not my answer because I can't have a negative exponent, so I have to put my y on the bottom. So I'm going to rewrite my answer. I have 22 over 7 x to the fourth y minus 7 x squared y cubed plus 2 over y. The y goes to the bottom to become a positive exponent because we do not ever leave a negative exponent in our answers. The final problem I'm going to work out is the area of Tracy's rectangular backyard is 12x to the fifth y to the fourth plus 8x to the fourth y to the third minus 24xy. If the length of the backyard is 4x cubed y squared, what's the width? If you remember, to find the area of a rectangle, area equals length times width. In this problem, it gives me the area of the backyard and it gives me the length, and I have to find the width. So in order to find the width, I have to get w by itself. Since L and w are multiplied together, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So to figure out my width, I'm going to have to take my area and divide it by my length. So I'm going to take my area of 12 x to the fifth y to the fourth plus 8 x to the fourth y to the third minus 24xy. And I'm going to divide by my 4x cubed y squared. To save time, I'm just going to go ahead and put that underneath each term. So when I do this, I divide my 12 and my 4, which makes 3. I subtract my exponents. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2, so I have x squared y squared plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. When I subtract 4 minus 3, I get 1. 3 minus 2 is 1 minus 24 divided by 4 is 6. 1 minus 3 is negative 2, so I know my negative 2 is going to have to go to the bottom to make it positive, so I'm going to have x squared. And then I have 1 minus 2, which is also negative 1. Can't have a negative exponent, so it goes to the bottom. And that would be your answer.